So this is a little bit of a follow-up on the last video that Aug Tellez made about, or at least, I don't know if it's the last one, but he's making so many. But the one that's called, I think, Spirit, Consciousness, and the Now Moment. So he explained it beautifully. So I'm not even going to add on to it in a way because it was so well said that I can't even do the same thing or want to add on to that stuff. But basically, it was beautifully explained how the operational system of the human mind, the thinking mind, let's say, because there's different ways you can use mind, but let me just use it in the sense that we're the thinking process that people hear, like the voices in their head, right? So this thinking mind is so incredibly slow, this cognitive capacity to organize in words and in images and in a coherent form that is structured in informational segments that we call the memory plus cognitive capacity. All this is so slow that it would have to be considered a system that is always trying to catch up with reality. The spirit, however, is so fast that it is immediate. It works on the level of knowledge, because the mind works completely on the level of information. So the information is so slow at the speed of light that it's trying to catch up with reality, which is instantaneous, or we could say immediate, instantaneous. It's basically so fast that it would be considered multiples faster than the speed of light, in which information travels through the brain, or as light communication speed. And so he really explained that really well. And what I wanted to do is explain a few more things about segments that have to do with that. One of it is gnosis. And that is really what he's speaking about. The spirit functions on Gnostic knowledge. Gnostic knowledge is the knowledge, the direct knowledge of the reality, of the universe, of God, of whatever you want to call it. Direct knowledge, Gnostic knowledge. And Gnostic knowledge is not at the speed of information. And information, which is all the stuff that we work in this environment here and in the schools and in the universities, is stuff that needs time to be communicated. However, Gnostic knowledge does not. Gnostic knowledge is immediate knowledge, which is the knowledge that is so fast that before the question would be even coined, before you could even question anything, the answer would be received. Because, in other words, nothing needs to be done. That's why the masters, the spiritual teachers, are at peace, because there is no questions about anything. Of course, trivial things in the world of information can be questioned. It's not like every master has the access to all information, but that's so trivial at that level that information is just something you do and gather and do. But as a Gnostic, you tap straight into the original reality behind information. It's so fast that it doesn't need to compute. It doesn't need to process. It's literally no processor needed, right? So that's why they say it's done before it even begins. That's why there is like this paradox in this level where we, from an informational standpoint, are trying to like figure things out and say, well, what do you mean, how fast? Well, so fast that to us it would be a nanosecond or a fraction of a nanosecond. In other words, the question, before it arises, the answer would be there. Before even you could say it arises, that's how fast it would seem to us. And therefore no need for anything. So that's one thing. And what I'm saying is that this is you. I'm saying that when you're going, right, when we leave the slower system, the slower computational system of the software mind, human mind level of information at light speed, you actually start to move into Gnostic knowledge, into the level of knowledge, which is so swift that it would be called immediate. And this is really the process of evolution. The true move for humans is not out into space, because out into space is just another informational lag that causes this whole physical existence. You can't actually go anywhere, and it's demonstrated immediately by the speed of light, which Aug Tellez spoke about in the video as well. He explained very clearly, which is very correct, to say that the speed of light is so slow, even at whatever it is, 300,000 kilometers a second or a minute, whatever it was, an hour, I don't know, remember what it was, but very, very fast compared to, for example, the speed of sound. It's so slow it would be retarded, right? But light is so fast, and still it is incredibly slow compared to the speed of now. The speed of consciousness. Because if we just take the heliocentric model of the sun, right? Whether that's true or not in the hologram, it has a relative reality, so let's just use it as a model. And the sun is, I don't know how far away, but they say it takes 7 or 8 minutes for the light of the sun to get to the earth. That is incredibly slow. We're so close to the sun compared to all the other objects, let's say, if it is, we're talking about other solar systems or whatever, right? So We're so close, we're one of the closest planets of our own system, and still it takes 7 to 8 minutes for light to get here. Meaning that by looking at planets or stars, the nearest star, which is whatever they call Vega, I don't remember which star is the closest according to this system that they have in the astrological, holographic system, but it is, I think, 6 light years away, which means 6 years of our years, the 365 days, of light traveling to get here. In other words, if 5 years and 360 days ago something would have happened to that star and it exploded, we would only be seeing it 5 days from now, right? So although the star would have exploded 6 years ago, we would only see it now, 6 years later. We're looking into the past. That's how slow light is. At the speed of light, you can never discover anything that is real. You're always behind the fact, behind the reality, behind the moment. So the question is to jump into the next time gradient, which is so swift that it would be called instantaneous or immediate, absolute speed, let's say absolute time, which is the now, the ever-present, eternal, swift moment of now. But in the sensory mechanism, in the sensory world, which is this place of form and shape and thought and images and all that we can see, sensations, perceptions, all the stuff that we can do as the outer world, let's say, that world is so slow that you're basically just digging around in illusion. And so what I wanted to use for this explanation is the Spiral Girdle of Eternity. And this is also from The Origin of Man and the Universe as a model, because I love using models that are applicable and good. And basically it works like this. This world that we live in is not a real world. It is an actual world. Real means always real. Real means it is real today, tomorrow, and 100 million years from now, if you wish to express it in time. Which means never changing. But this is the world of ever changing. It's always changing. So there's nothing but unreality here, if you wish. Because something that is real must be real forever. If it's not real at one point, or real at one point, not real, it's not a reality, it's an actuality. Actuality means it's actual. Like right now, I'm actually speaking. It's an actual moment. I'm speaking to this camera. For me, it is actual. For you, it's actual seeing the video, because when I post this video, I will no longer be behind this camera, obviously. So that's why this whole world is not real. It's changing all the time, which means it's an actuality. We're not in reality, we're in actuality. However, actuality does come from its source, reality itself. Right? And the funny thing about it is that the Spiral Girdle of Eternity is a very good way of explaining it. And basically it goes like this. Everything happens now in eternity. There is no time there. So what I'm going to describe, this Spiral Girdle of Eternity, is a cone. I think Aug Tellez had something on his Facebook about a cone as well, the cone of intelligence. And the cone starts at the top and starts to form girdles or rings. And it goes down into this cone, the spiral cone, down towards the tip at the bottom. And the highest reality is at the top. Now, what is important about this is this. There is different levels of reality, or let's say different levels of formality. But I'm not even talking about formality right now. But let's say different levels of intelligence. And this girdle, as it starts to form, it forms a world. And this is an objective world that can be experienced by everybody. That's why the mystics and the masters who go into these places see the same kind of system. And this is why Aug Tellez can explain these kinds of things. And I'm wondering, what the hell, how does he do that? Well, I know how he does that. He goes into this place of eternity itself and then reports back his findings as it is. But it's not a thing that he's going into it like physically or anything. It's obviously this mind travel almost into the reality behind it. And I'll go into that more in detail. So what's happening is this. The girdle forms instantaneously. This all happens in what we would consider a fraction of a nanosecond, right? It happens right now. The whole thing is happening as we speak, because it is an eternal moment, right? The girdle closes. And every time that one world is created in a circle, in the girdle, that going down the spiral, there's let's say seven levels. And every girdle that closes, every time the circle closes, I appear. So I, the intelligence that is listening to these words, That is, I'm the one speaking these words, but every I in the universe is the same I. Wherever I appear, I am the same I. However, has gradients. You have all these levels of being. You have, let's say, terrestrial I, you have a solar I, then you have a cosmic I, a universal I. There's all these different levels of I going up. So the upper ones are the biggest ones, let's say, the big girdle of the universal I. And then as it closes, another circle is made. And once that circle closes, it's his world. That's its world. And it closes and boom, I appear. And then the next level goes down. And the moment that circle closes in the girdle, boom, I appear. I always appear at the end of the creation of its own world. And what happens because of this is that I, wherever I am in the girdle, in reality, I always look at the world down from me, from my own world. Because I'm always behind the creation of my own world. My world is created. And then when the world closes, the circle closes, pop, I appear. But by that time, the next world down has been created, and that's the world I'm looking into. So whatever level I am from, whatever level of being or intelligence I am from in the girdle, I'm never looking at my own world. I'm always looking at the next world down. And I am in my world, but not of it, or in this world, but not of it. But I can't know my own world, because my own world is what I am. And the world that's now I'm looking at as intelligence, as I, down, is the next circle. The next world that is created. So instantaneous that when I appear, it's already there because it's instantaneous. But that's not my world. I'm always looking at the world down from me, whereas I am always the world that I am. I can only be what I am, and I can only know what I'm not, what is separate from me. And so this world is the last world down. So let's say there's 7 levels, and it closes. I appear, I appear, I appear, I appear. Every time I appears, and every time I am looking at the world below, the world that's not my own world. Well, and that moment, at the last moment, which is the physical world, is what I'm looking at as the last created world, but I am not of that world. That's why they say, I'm in the world, but not of it. Which means, I don't belong to this world of physicality. So this holographic simulation thing, which we could call it, right? It's just a way of describing it. But this appearance, this formal appearance of thought and emotion and sense perception, sound and all these things, right? Is not my world, because I am my world. So I am the world of consciousness. I am aware. I am that which is aware. That is what I am. That's my world. But my world can never be known by me because I am that. I can only know other. I can only know the world that drops down from that. And so the important part about that is 2 things. The thing I said about every world always being the same system closing and then I appearing, and then I appearing, and the I is always looking at the world down from it. Always looking at not its own world, but the lower level, a level that is then a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, and therefore a lower level. You're dropping down into the cone into lower levels. And existence is at the tip of it. So if you have a V, I made a video about this last year or something, but not in an exact way, but the point is, if you have this cone that comes down to the tip, at the tip, you have kind of like an inverted cone that comes out. This is the physical existence. This is where reality actually ends. And so when our world is created right at the bottom, I consciousness, the aware being, that which is aware of everything, I awareness, I am, being knowing, the presence of aware being, right, which is listening to these words right now. You who are listening are aware of me speaking. I'm not saying your ears are aware or your eyes are aware, because that's just a sense perceptive thing. But you're even aware that you're listening, that you have ears and eyes. That which is actually aware is the world that is the real world, which is the world that you are, right? This is your being. You are this. Everybody is this. However, then as I appear, it looks at the world that comes out of the tip of the cone into infinitude, which is the unreal world of form. And so everybody that's going out into space, if they are, Everybody that's trying to go into space travel and trying to go to Mars or other solar systems are just digging around in a world that's not there, infinitely going out into nowhere. There's only one way to escape, which is back inwards, back up the cone into reality. Right? Out there, you're lost forever in infinity, in infinite forms, in alien races, and we're going to be, disclosure, we're going to travel here, and we're going to finally be intergalactic, whatever. It's all part of the hologram. You're still stuck in the outer cone, which is going from the tip of reality into infinitude of form. You don't want to go out. You don't escape out. You get lost out. You get in more prison out. You get in more of the labyrinth out. You get more into the maze. More caught up in more form, more things to do, more places to go, more things to travel. Now you're going to, travel intergalactically to wormholes. Well, you're still out there. What we have to do is turn back inwards and travel back up the stream into reality and realize higher levels of I up the cone of intelligence way back to eternity. And this is all in you right now. So the only direction to travel with your attention is inwards. That's why they always used to say, you got to meditate. Meditation is the process of dropping the urge, the desire, the need to focus on existential holographic simulation projection. This outer infinite world of form. So if we're going to have disclosure about aliens, it's just going to mean people are going to be lost for a couple of thousand more years, getting all integrated with new alien species within just another section of the hologram. Just another diversion, just another area within the labyrinth that's going to be like, whoa, party time, we found aliens and we're now traveling to other stars and we're meeting other species and eating other types of food and whatever, right? It's just another lost game. The real way is the way in. Not to get out, you have to go in, which is up the cone. Realize first who you are. Who you are is being, is the spirit, is consciousness, is the now. Realize that everything that you can see cannot be you because you can see it. You are that which sees and perceives and smells and hears and sees thoughts. Therefore, you're not the thought. You're prior to the thought. And that is being. That is beingness or consciousness or awareness or being aware. These are all words. You got to grasp them in your own experience. And the way to do that, and this is the funny part about it, right? The way to do that is to do nothing. Because when you do absolutely nothing, and you just remain, and you close your eyes if you wish, that's why they do it in meditation, to try to not get all the distractions of the sense perception, which is not reception, but perception, it's a projection. To avoid sense perception, you close your eyes, you go still, you stop thinking, stop working out with this low-level computing system that is so slow, it's always dragging and lagging and chasing, like a dog chasing its own tail, to a never-ending, never getting anywhere with chasing your own tail. Or like that carrot that they hold in front of the donkey. You're not getting anywhere that exists, no matter where you're going to travel. Go to Mars, go to anywhere you want, go and meet all these extraterrestrial civilizations. You're just going to meet more of the holographic fractals at the outer point. If you want to go back to reality, go back in. And going back in means you close your eyes and you go still and you look at what it would be called the blackness, the void, the grainy screen. For me, it's never black when I close my eyes. Now there's light, so when I close my eyes, I have these lights on me. But if I turn my eyelids down, if I close my eyelids, then there's always a blackness that is fully filled with pixels, right? And this is what I call the grainy screen. And the grainy screen is the intellect itself. And so what you have to do is just you stay with that. Don't allow thought, don't allow images. Just remain with this black, still, silent place of nothingness, right? And then you start to, there's no objects there. So for a lot of people, it seems like, well, this is not interesting. Well, I mean, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'd rather watch a few YouTube videos and see what David Wilcock's got to say and Corey Goody, and let's see what, Project Camelot has on or whatever, right? All of these things are like, they're still in the world of information and they seem to be something. And they're something. This seems to be nothing. It's like, what are you going to do? Is just sit there and be bored? Well, you're not bored. You're looking back into reality. And reality is so swift that it doesn't have any objects in it. It has Gnostic knowledge. Gnostic knowledge finally expresses itself in things like intimation, realization, insights. Now, you don't even know where they come from because they seem to be like not information. They weren't taught to me, these things. They weren't taught to Aug Tellez. somehow you just know why. Because somehow you tap into both worlds at the same time. You travel back up the cone with your intelligence by being silent and still. You remain in this black void of quantum computing spirit world, the conscious world, consciousness itself, that's so fast it could be considered a quantum computer compared to the lower levels of expression, which is the mind, the thinking informational mind. So you move up to your operating system from information to knowledge. And once you go back into this place, you start to live in both places at once. And this is the funny part about it. I'm looking into reality up the cone, as far as I can look, into the cone, simultaneously while I'm speaking here. This is why I can speak immediately and not have any like notes or anything anywhere, because it's coming directly from this Gnostic knowledge. It doesn't need retrieving. It doesn't need informational, like, retrieving where I have to actually compute it, and it just comes out like a flow immediately because I'm in both places, there behind it as far as I can go into the cone, and out in existence still in the former world, because the former world always remains. The only thing is that for people at the former world only, when they look back into the cone and they haven't gone still enough, all they see is information because they can't get to the knowledge because they're only really out here. And for the people that are realized at a different level, they are looking into the cone at the same time as being here. The reason that's possible is because going up the cone, you're being bombarded with reality coming down and taking form, and so it seems impossible to go in. That's why a lot of people have so much trouble with meditation. The first thing they find, obviously, is that when they go still and silent, they can't, because it's just a continuous need for movement. And this makes them restless, and then they think, well, let me just go do something, because it makes them feel restless. Because there's an onslaught. You're going up the stream. It's like a river where the salmon is swimming up. When you're swimming up the river, it's hard. When you're swimming down with the river, it's easy. And I'm still here. To be physically here is easy because I don't have to do anything, because it's the downcoming stream. However, the effort, let's say, that is needed in the beginning to go up the stream seems really hard, because every time you go still, it seems that everything wants to keep moving at you and in you and with you and as you. So the question is, are you willing enough to be still enough to go back into reality, into the cone, so that eventually once you're there and here at the same time, wherever the level is, up the cone at any level, that you're both there and here. And that's Gnostic knowledge. That's the information on a level exceeded into knowledge. So it's the evolution from this computing system that is a higher computing system than the other. And this is the need for us to do. This is to be Gnostic, to move up from information to knowledge, because the lag that information has caused all the troubles in our existential world. The reason why we're killing each other and killing the planet and completely out of sync with everything at the political level and everything, right? We are all, well, the general public, let's say, the majority of people on Earth are still functioning from an outdated software system. And the software system cannot solve itself. And that's why I think it was even Einstein, whether the quote was his or not, I don't know, but it said something like, we can't solve the problem with the system that it was created in. Or in other words, I'm paraphrasing the whole thing, but we cannot solve the problem from the level of consciousness that created the problem. I think something like that. Basically, we cannot solve this existential crisis that we're in at this level of manipulation by the elites and the political system and the financial system and the medical system and the love, the family system. Basically, everything has come to a grinding halt because we have to move up into the next gradient. We can't try to solve the problems of the world, the external world, with a computational system that caused it in the first place. The lag of information, the slowness of the computing system, the slowness of the human mind, the incapacity to catch up with reality is causing a continuous entanglement, a continuous worsening, deepening, lowering of the level. This is the fall. The fall into the hell realm is the fall of not being willing to step out of the system. You know, it's like people who you might be in a situation and the only thing you have with you is a knife, and at the moment that you are chased by a bear or something, you have to climb up the tree and you have to drop the knife. But you feel like the knife is the only thing you might have to defend yourself from by the bear, to protect you from the bear. But you have to climb up the tree. Of course, it's a bad example because bears can climb trees better than humans, but you get the point. You're trying to climb up a tree, you drop the knife because you don't have a holster to put the knife in. This is what we're at. We're at the level where we're not willing to drop the mind, although the only thing that we can do to evolve into the next level is actually drop this slow computing system mind. We have to leave it behind in the dust of ancient nonsense. Now this is of course not for everybody, but for the people that can listen to this. And I wasn't going to speak like this until I saw Aug Tellez about a couple of days ago, because I thought, nobody's really ready to listen to this kind of ranting that I'm doing. But apparently a lot of people are quite ready, because they can listen to Aug for several hours and he's doing the same kind of thing, just ranting on about this and just showing and demonstrating and painting on the canvas the reality, painting the way back home, painting this system of reality so that our attention can be actually not outward faced, but turned inward, back in up the cone to reality. Because that's what I'm doing while I'm speaking. I'm holding your attention at the higher level of reality so that we can stay there instead of looking out. Because out we're already doing, we got to have our job, we got to go to work, we got to, the whole thing is going on. That's why the elites apparently have taken control of the system for that reason. They want us to be busy only with 9-to-5 jobs. They want us to be in this fight or flight mode of existential crisis where we don't have any free time to ponder and inquire and see into and look back into and research the reality, so we can find videos like this and spend time on it. Because most people are just struggling 1 or 2 jobs and they barely get by even with that. So they know they don't want us to find reality, because while they are in control of this hell realm where people are struggling, they can actually quite, surface to self, serve themselves in such a manner that they can live this supposedly wealthy life, which obviously most of them are extremely unhappy and unfortunate people, and despite of their manipulation. But that's why we have to be the ones that realize that the way out is the way in. And the way out is to go into knowledge and out of information. Away from form, back into formlessness. And this you do by looking into the black void of nothingness. And upgrade to quantum computing consciousness, spirit level, instantaneous, eternal, infinite being. Swifter than swift, swifter than light, faster than the speed of light, oscillating so fast that it's not a gross movement like this, but it's so swift that to us it would be absolutely still. That's why we think that it's absolutely nothing. People say, well, I don't want to meditate, it's boring. Well, because there's nothing there. Well, because there is something there. Well, not something, but it's such a swift operating system that it's so fast that to us it would be just the fine tune of the perfect machine without any shaking. And this is more gross. All objects are like boo, 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 boo. And so it's all like, whoa, we're here, it's really like in your face. And it is. Try bumping your knee into something and know how gross this place is. But the swiftness of it seems to be nothing, but is actually absolute velocity. Is instantaneous swiftness, consciousness, spirit, awareness, being. Rest as that. Remain as the quiet, silent place. This is the best thing you can do to upgrade into consciousness, because you're actually dropping away the old system, not giving it so much importance, allowing it to rest, the mind, the thinking, the working out, the figuring stuff out, what is all this about, and the alien races and this and planets and what is not, and the pyramids and how they were built. That's why these people like Graham Hancock, as great as it is for people that are awakening, it's still in this place of trying to work it out. Just drop it all and allow the quantum computing system of consciousness to rearrange, sort out, and correct, let's say, the broken fractals within this now forgone system of computational thought, mental structure of thinking, low-level consciousness, low-level awareness, but it's not even awareness, thinking, Drop the old computer and allow the new one to just take over. And the way to do that is just to allow it to do that. You don't have to do anything. Just don't keep focusing on all the objects, because otherwise you keep looking out at the cone. So anyway, that's that for now. Otherwise, I'm just going to repeat more and more. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's all Gnostic knowledge, and it's you. It's nothing special to me. It's not because I am the one speaking here that somehow that I have this information that I somehow gathered from somewhere, some theory or something. It is direct Gnostic knowledge looking back into the cone. You can find nothing other than this. You will verbalize it differently. You will bring it into existence differently. You may not be able to speak about it the way I do or Aug Tellez does. You might bring it in a completely different way, because the conditioning, because I'm filtering it through words. I'm filtering through the experience of this body, this existential body that has lived for whatever, 40 years in special conditions. And your conditioning is different. And it is filtered through that, because this is a medium. I'm not speaking as a channel or anything like that. I'm responsible for what I'm saying. I'm not saying some entity speaks to me and I don't know, it just pushes me aside and it comes through me. I'm absolutely sitting here as a responsible human being in the body. No channeling here, right? I'm tapping into the knowledge, the Gnostic knowledge directly, and reporting back through a filtered medium of voice and words and formulations and descriptions. Now that's conditioned, so it will always come out different, and it's not complete and it's not perfect, because it can't be, because it's brought into these relative level. But I'm tapping straight into Gnostic knowledge, and you can too. You, awareness, are that Gnostic knowledge. There is nothing in the entire universe that you're not. The only thing that's now maybe covered up, by all the stuff in the informational realm of the thinking mind, and therefore it seems sometimes covered up. That's why stillness is the way. Stillness is going back inside, looking into nothing, up into the cone, towards the intellect, away from the evolving intelligence of the human mind, and allowing the quantum field of knowledge, the quantum field of being, to rearrange everything and inform you. Inform you not with information, but with knowledge. And so it's insight, realization, and it's you. This is knowledge of you. That's why it resonates. It resonates if you're listening to this, because otherwise you could not have listened for 30 whatever minutes that I'm speaking. There's no way you could have listened to 30-something minutes if there's not something that touches that reality which you already know is true inside of you. That's why it's called recognition. It's not it's a recognition, not a cognition. You recognize something, you recognize it, because it's already known by you. It's already known in eternity. You are that. All you have to do is step away from the old computational system of the slow lag of the mind.